everybody. Welcome back to What I Love Podcast. And today we're talking about Hitman. As always, I'm Kate. I'm here with Adrian
Hey, how's it going?
and Matt.
Hello.
And to go into this very stealthy franchise, of which I'm not very good at, I can't talk about it. So Matt's going to.
Yes, because you can't stealth your way through anything.
I can't. I turn that mechanic way down if there's an option to.
You clomp your way around. Yeah, so obviously start off with my generic questions because I have a great formula of stuff of basically, have you played Hitman and do you have a favorite one? And I guess I'll start with Adrian.
Yeah, I've played one Hitman game because, like Kate, I don't really like stealthy games. I rather just go like shoot people. And I'm pretty sure the game that I played was Blood Money. Blood Money. Yeah,
Excellent
Blood Money.
choice.
Yeah. I played it on the Xbox 360. I did play that one a lot because the game is fun. I like the world building stuff in there, which is probably why I like the trashy 2007 movie so much. But I've only played one.
Awesome. Kate, what about you?
I haven't played a single Hitman to completion, but I have played a lot of different Hitman games over time because for whatever reason, the guys in my friend group in high school were really obsessed with Hitman, and I dated a guy who was super into Hitman. And so like I would play through a couple of levels or I'd watch it be played, and that's kind of where it is. So like I know enough and have played enough to know how the game should be, but as I stated at the top of the episode, I am not a stealthy person. So it would be like, Kate, play this level until you can't get past it, and then I'll take it over, type thing. So that's kind of where I am. Although Blood Money is probably the one I remember the most of being able to play the most. So
I think Blood Money ends up being a very big one in the franchise for the most part, which we'll kind of get into. I know for me, I played Contracts, but not that much. Blood Money, I loved, still my favorite. I beat that thing like 3 or 4 times. Got all the achievements on it and everything. I attempted Absolution. I did not like it, and then I gave up. I feel bad as a Hitman fan because I've always enjoyed the franchise and everything, but I feel like I probably should play it more. I know when they came back in 2016, which kind of their little soft reboot stuff, which we'll kind of get into. I feel bad that I didn't want to play it, but also I understand why I didn't play the first one. And then we'll kind of get in the whole genre of this game, as we said, between stealth games and what even happens. Because, I mean, you talk about all the Splinter Cell stuff and how everybody just wants a Splinter Cell game that comes around. It doesn't. Like, stealth games themselves have just kind of taken a back seat for a while there, sadly. So kind of get into, which is kind of almost like a fun fact in itself thing, but the franchise began in the year 2000, and which actually was surprising to me because I thought it was older.
I did too. I thought it was way older than that.
Yeah, I thought it was older than that, but then also like 2000s, 21 years ago.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was like a kid.
No.
So it makes sense at this point.
Oh yeah, it does, but it wasn't.
God, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, that is 20 years ago, but also, or 21 now at this point, but I'm also like, wow, I still thought it was in the 90s, but nope, it's a thing. Most of the...
I don't like this now. I feel like we've hit the point where I'm like, oh no, that was a long time ago. It is old, but I remember it. So am I old now?
Yes, you are. But no, it was written by Morten Iversen for the most part for the first few games, and developed by IO Interactive, which has been basically the developers this entire, I guess, its lifespan of all the games. Obviously, over the years, it's had a few developers and publishers. It was originally published by Eidos Interactive. I don't know how to say that properly.
Eidos, E-I-D-O-S?
Yes.
Yeah, Eidos.
Eidos Interactive, and it's funny because all the descriptions of Eidos is literally a British video game publisher. But yes, they eventually got absorbed by Square Enix Europe, and they are also the people who made Tomb Raider, Just Cause, and...
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
That also makes sense just because the stealth mechanics that were incorporated into the Tomb Raider games, yeah, which I hate, and I turned those down on the difficulty settings because I was not good at them.
Yeah, but that's those are the same people. They were obviously some from there. They kind of had games published by Square Enix. Then the funny thing is they actually had in 2017 they had a managerial buyout, which we'll kind of get into because Hitman kind of had its own issues. They actually bought their way out to their own freedom from Square Enix, who at the time, I don't even know if they were Square Enix when they bought them. And so actually one of their games was actually published by Warner Brothers until finally it becomes full circle to why we're doing this episode of the newest Hitman releases. I believe today this episode is released, and for Hitman 3, and that actually will be published by IO Interactive. It's been a weird thing. That's all I've actually learned more at this point with doing a lot of these game franchises. Oh my gosh, we talk about all these other companies. The amount of like companies like end up getting absorbed throughout the last like 20 years has been insane.
Yeah, and I think it's also like we don't really think about it sometimes because like we differentiate. Like, we tend not to talk about developer versus publisher a lot. Like when a lot of the times when we talk about these people made this game, a lot of the times they just publish that game. And then like when you talk about like publishers then buying up development companies, kind of like how Bethesda did, it gets interesting.
Yeah, because Bethesda was this, and then they were bought by Cinemax, and now they're actually bought by Microsoft. It's all fun times. But no, like even going through like Square, which I always forget that Square Software was a thing before Square Enix.
Soft.
Whatever. It's short for software. Whatever. But anyways, like a lot of these games too, actually surprisingly, it started on the PC. Obviously, over the years, it eventually made it to all the platforms, but it originally came with the first game being on PC only, and then moves on. Kind of the general synopsis, you play as Agent 47, who is the most renowned hitman ever, or whatever, and you take contract to kill high-profile people. This all comes with the help of your handler, Diana, who is also throughout all the games. Diana's great. And basically, this game is an action. Sometimes it gets labeled action-adventure, which is kind of funny, because I never think of this as adventure, but it is classified sometimes. Stealth-based game. The game allows for creativity and kills via weapons, situations, high profile versus low profile. This is part where whether Kate goes guns a-blazing or whether you go stealth. And then essentially there is, for the most part, not in all the games, but for the most part, in some of them, there essentially is no quote-unquote right or wrong way to play so long as you get the job done.
Yeah.
In the later games, obviously, you're more rewarded for stealth-based kills than just going in there, but you could play a lot of the games where you just went through and just did a rampage and you were fine.
No, I really enjoy the amount of creativity. Like, I enjoy games where to get from A to B, you can take whatever path you as the player want to.
Yeah, is this why like I'm surprised that this is classified as a stealth game? Because I definitely didn't play this as a stealth game.
That might be. I mean, honestly, that's probably why. Because
I played this like I was John Wick. And I
mean,
was going there murking people.
That's the thing. I play this always as a stealth game, so that's probably why when you're like, it's an action adventure game, I'm like, was it? Where was what? Like, I didn't do anything but set off some fuses.
My problem was that I tried to lean into the stealth of it. And oh boy, that didn't work.
Obviously each game's different, and then kind of going through, but they do end up going, like I said, stealth probably ends up being the most preferred way overall of playing the games. Even though there was plenty of achievements and a lot of fun just doing a bunch of crazy kill types and everything
then
else.
Then I started shooting.
Started blasting.
Started blasting.
Which we'll kind of get into with the gameplay and the but why though. But first we'll kind of get through the games. In total, with including the new one releasing, there are 8 total games, which also is another thing why I was surprised. I thought there was more, but apparently there's not. And 2 spin-off games, so I guess the total was 10, but whatever. The list of the games, obviously they start in 2000 to the present. Hitman, Codeman 47, came out in 2000. PC has a Metacritic rating of 73. Like I said, these Metacritic ratings are kind of like the mix and match between all 4 platforms, because as we learned, especially going in those early 2000s, there was a vast difference between playing your game on a PlayStation and playing your game on an Xbox or even a PC, which actually everybody learned again.
That came into 2020 with Cyberpunk.
Yeah, apparently that all came full circle again, like this episode. Yeah, then Hitman 2, Silent Assassin, Metacritic score of 86. Hitman Contracts 2004, Metacritic of 79. Hitman Blood Money in 2006, which is the one we talk about, which is Metacritic of 82, which would probably be about right when it comes to, like, I guess the life dynamics where everybody's at, 2006. And then Hitman Absolution is in 2012 with a Metacritic of 80. And then they kind of go through this whole part with this whole buyout process, and then obviously after Absolution, which kind of the game was, it kind of has an 80. It kind of sold a lot, but a lot of fans hated it. And so it kind of almost killed the series per se and stuff. And so they end up doing this kind of soft reboot and then under the name of like the World of Assassins trilogy. And that's what we're getting now. What?
Like the World of Assassins.
Or I think it's World of Assassinations, my bad. World of Assassination
That's
trilogy.
not much better.
Yeah, whatever. I'm always here for the dumb stuff. Whether it be Impossible Mission Force or World of Assassinations. Yeah, so that goes with the Hitman game 2016, which is funny because apparently all these reboots, and because remember we have Doom 2016, we came also with Hitman 2016. And then also has a Metacritic rating technically of an 84, but that's kind of like the complete edition because this time they decided we're going to release thing episodic because they were trying to be the one of the good ones of saying, hey, we're going to do the games as a service. And so they were kind of releasing episode per se or missions like once every month to 2 months.
That makes sense as to why I thought there were so many more.
Yes, which I think is the reason why I opted out of this game. And then I just forgot about Hitman again because I completely forgot that Hitman 2 came out in 2018 and actually has a Metacritic score of 83. And then obviously we had Hitman 3 2021 coming out January 20th, which should be today. And that will be obviously pending and whatnot else.
But did Hitman 2016 have a thing like kind of like before where if you weren't playing that on a PC, it looked like a potato? Am I thinking of the right game?
Yes.
I think you are correct. I know these two games came out very buggy, like the Hitman 1 and 2. I know they had some issues for sure.
Yeah, because people were like mad that like one of like the previous Hitman from like the previous generation like looked better than that one on some of the consoles.
Yeah,
like
I know Hitman 16.
I could be wrong, but
no, I don't
remember
think
that being
you're
a thing
not
somewhere.
wrong at all because the funny thing, a lot of the main critiques for despite having the 84, which is funny because 84 is kind of like the when you get to play all of it at once, like the Game of the Year edition. It's like if you bought Skyrim in 2015. Of course, the damn game's better than like when you bought it in 2014 because you got all the DLC and all the patches. But yeah, a lot of people said that like, the joke was that the game wasn't released episodic. The game was just released unfinished, and they kept just adding new parts of the game on the game.
That's fair. That makes sense.
So I will say I looked up Hitman 2016. I looked up in-game Agent 47 and then like advertised Agent 47. That's some catfishing. They don't look the same.
Yeah, like I said, this game, and I think that's why I never bothered to play this one because I remember it coming back and I was like, oh, we're gonna Hitman, they're redoing it. And then I was like, I don't do episodic stuff. I'm sorry. Like, I never cared for the Telltale stuff or anything else. But
yeah.
Apparently they got it all together. It only took like, the whole entire year of 2016. I think the episodes were released from like March of 2016 all the way through December of 2016. Which is still a weird way to play a game, I guess.
I still don't understand games like that. I want my game at one time, please.
Yes, obviously Hitman 2 and 3 have corrected that, and they will all be releasing at the same time. For anybody wondering.
Are we excited about Hitman 3? Is it going to be good?
I technically am, to be honest. I know the problem they had with Hitman 2 is Hitman 2, if I remember correctly, released right in the middle of fall. Hitman just, as much as we're having this episode, and it's kind of like a franchise that's been around with all these games, it's not a Call of Duty, it's not a Mario, it's not, some big thing. It's not even hell Cyberpunk at this point, like it just kind of got swallowed up because I don't even remember the 2018 coming.
So Hitman 3 looks really good. They've also done an amazing job marketing it. If
Yes.
you look at Hitman 3, they've like the way the 3 is designed in it looks like a barcode. So that's cool. Also, I'm just going to get it out right now. I am attracted to Hitman because I am attracted to the Hitman that the series is based on. Because you put a guy in a suit and have him go do assassinations. I'm going to be with it. And the suit selection that they've shown for Hitman 3, especially for the pre-order bonuses, is choice and very good. But like the marketing around it has been really good. The trailers have been really good. And I don't know, it also just seems something very different than what we've kind of been getting and playing right now. So I'm pretty excited for it on that note. I'm probably gonna suck at it, but I'm excited for it.
I can't wait for us to get it and it'd be like, oh, you don't have the new Xbox? Here's your potato version. 'Cause I'm looking at like the trailers and stuff, and the trailers, like the graphics look really good, but like, what is this on?
Yeah,
That,
that's fair.
that might be the running joke of this franchise, where like they give you something on the next gen thing, and it's just not as it should be.
I think we're going to run into that, apparently, with more than just Hitman, as we've already seen. But yeah, so like so obviously this Hitman 3, as we've been talking about, it's supposedly going to be the finale of this trilogy. We'll see how that goes. I've heard a lot of things about trilogies that never end up being trilogies. Thanks, Assassin's Creed. This kind of follows the story of Agent 47 from Hitman 2016 all the way through, obviously, 2021. I think there's at least another Hitman that's already being looking to be in development coming in either like another 2 years, another 2 years or so.
And is that going to be like on a... So are all these Hitman games around Agent 47?
Yes. Every game focuses around Agent 47, and Diana is the handler. Those are like, I mean, there's been a few other characters from my understanding and what I played that are kind of within there that show up multiple times, but Agent 47 and Diana are your two main characters that show up throughout the entire series.
Okay, that's a little bit more impressive because, like, Assassin's Creed is just like different assassins all the time. So that is interesting. And it seems like the world of Hitman would actually facilitate having different characters pop in and out for different games. So
yeah, but as we'll kind of get into in the but why those of Agent 47 is actually a very popular character of himself. And so that's probably another reason why NZD. But before we do that, get into some other media, because we do have some other stuff. And there's actually 2 spin-off games or mobile games. Hitman Go 2014, which is a turn-based puzzle game.
I don't like the way that sounds.
Oh, don't worry. I have some little backstory and fun facts about that one. Then Hitman Sniper 2015. It's on your phone. Like I said, you just kind of hold your phone up and you look through a sniper scope. And
Also don't like that.
These weren't rated very well. They weren't well perceived. It looked like we were trying to get on the Pokemon Go type things, but still.
But with killing, okay.
There's actually more to this again. If you want to go through, I think this is the one also we get into controversy because they did like a whole Hitman like Facebook integration where they did, where you could like send like, I'm coming to assassinate my friends and stuff, and they had to tear all that down. It was some bad marketing and other mobile app integration stuff. This was the 2014s. Everybody thought they were fun to have an app.
I have no comment.
Anyways, there's obviously a few comics from what I found. Agent 47, Birth of the Hitman, was in 2017. I believe this kind of goes into the origins of Agent 47. This is from Dynamite. I think it's still running. If not, I don't remember. It's kind of weird because it
was as of last year.
Yeah, I said I'm pretty sure it's still running. I'm not sure how much. I was surprised that this was the only comic I found, to be honest. And it wasn't even very populated. The only reason I remember because we cover comic for the site. And I was like, wait a minute, I thought somebody had this because it didn't pop up in a lot of the stuff I was looking. I had to specifically go find it. But something I didn't have to go find, but clearly it found everybody else, and then nobody liked it, was the 2 movies, obviously. Hitman of 2007, with a Rotten Tomatoes score of a 16% and an audience score of a 57. I'm just going to state this movie, it's not dumpster fire. It isn't good.
It's fun.
It's not...
It also has good. Hot Timothy Oliphant as Agent 47. It's great.
I don't hate it. I don't
this movie
love
a lot.
it.
I enjoy this movie in the same way I love Ninja Assassin.
I haven't seen it in like legitimately like decades, so I'm pretty sure it's still great.
That's something I will say. I haven't seen both of these movies as I get into the other one of Hitman Agent 47 2015, which has an 8% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 40% audience scores, and this movie is actually terrible.
I didn't know this movie existed.
That's probably a good thing.
It.
I watched this movie on an airplane. I thought you watched it with me on that same airplane trip.
Oh no, we did! That's right!
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good.
Hitman 07. I don't think it's much better than that 16%, but maybe it'd be like into 30 for me. Maybe the 40% of Rotten Tomatoes. I'd give it maybe like a 5 out of 10. It's not horrible, but it's not...
Ninja Assassin is a better movie, but it's still fun.
Hitman Agent 47 can probably deserve that 8%.
The one thing I will say that I don't like about the 2007 one is it reminded me that when they render people's heads in games, they make them smooth, but real live bald heads are bumpy because they kept zoom ins on the barcodes, and I was like, that's bumpy head. Neither here nor there, and doesn't impact the quality of the film, but...
Yeah, there was a lot of that movie, which I'll kind of get into. I know the big thing for that movie was why did they not just have the voice actor play Hitman in that movie, and that was a big thing. And after I saw the voice actor and everything, I also questioned why they didn't have the voice actor just play that man. And for those who don't know, the voice actor who's been the voice actor of Agent 47 through the entire existence
He's literally Agent 47.
is David Batesman. David Batesman. The other fun fact is apparently both these movies were written by Skip Woods. And I'm not going to lie, I looked at Skip Woods' film photography or whatever you want, filmography. I don't know why the hell they let this man direct this and write this many movies, because these are all terrible. All
Thursday, Swordfish,
which is also
X-Men
terrible.
Origins Wolverine, The A-Team, A Good Day to Die Hard, Sabotage, Hitman 47, and Caden Lynch.
And Live or Die Hard Free, or whatever the other one. He did 2 Die Hard movies. He did 2 Hitman movies. He did an X-Men movie. He did whatever the hell we call Swordfish, whatever the hell we call Sabotage, and then the A-Team.
I like the A-Team. There's no plan.
So I will say that the
that
A-Team.
that was good.
So the
I enjoyed that
A-Team.
one.
So I'll give him credit. The A-Team I don't think is great, but it's worth a watch to me. It's
I
not
never
horrible.
saw it.
Obviously, I think all the older people who watched the A-Team really hated it, but like I didn't watch the A-Team in the 70s, so it didn't bother me. But out of the rest of them are terrible. They're awful. Which we talked about in our Die Hard movies, how they got worse and worse, and apparently Skip Woods is the reason they got worse, because he's apparently...
Thanks, Skip Woods.
I just looked at that thing and I was like, how'd this man direct this many movies? These are all terrible. Back to another person, though, there are also 2 novels written about it. Hitman, Enemy Within, a novel. Apparently that's what it's called, a novel. In 2007, written by William C. Dietz. Which apparently, when I looked at him, I didn't realize that he apparently also wrote Halo: The Flood. He wrote a Mass Effect book. He wrote a Hitman, obviously the Hitman book, a StarCraft book, 3 Star Wars Expansive Universe books, and a ton of other stuff.
That's cool.
So, yeah, and then obviously Hitman Damnations from 2012, written by Raymond Benson, and whatnot else. And then probably the interesting thing is apparently there might supposedly it's a TV show. It was announced in 2017 by Hulu that they will have a TV Hitman show that's written by the creator of John Wick, Derek Kolstad. Is that right?
Kolstad, yeah.
Kolstad. But basically, that's all we know. I
I
looked and
want it.
there's been no announcement since other than yeah, we got it. It's coming.
I don't know if I want that.
Why?
If it's written by the creator, the John Wick creator, like just give me a different agent in the John Wick universe, and like just give me that.
I'll take Agent 47.
John Wick and Agent 47 are different people. I can tell you that much.
Yes. John Wick has more emotion.
No, I'm saying, no, don't make it on John Wick. Like, pick some other dude and just make that dude like.
What if he connects the 2?
So hold on, since you mentioned that, I'm doing a fun fact. But apparently, after the 2007 movie, there was a way they were thinking about doing a Just Cause, Tomb Raider, and Hitman universe.
No.
But
this is the wonderful time of multiverses.
But apparently, since they all did so terrible, and the other movie, or since obviously the movie did terrible, and also there was just no movement on like the Just Cause movie, some other Tomb Raider movies, and then the Thief and the Deus movie. They kind of whatever Deus Ex. They just kind of never. Obviously, that didn't amount to anything. But there was at one time a thought of doing that.
People tried to train a shark before, so you know what? I'm not surprised.
I don't know why we would want that, but apparently that was the thought process.
Same reason why they wanted to do a King Arthur universe, because they think they can.
God,
you know what? The sad part, that's about the same.
6 movies.
I think that's about the same time, but you know, everything.
I will say, I do want to know if Chad Stahelski is going to be involved in the show, because Chad Stahelski is
nobody
the director.
Nobody knows anything.
Okay, well, he's the director and the stunt coordinator and everything for the John Wick series, and the second unit director and stunt coordinator on Birds of Prey. And I just love that man's eye for action, so I will watch anything he has.
Also, 2017 is so long ago.
Well, I will say, like, as much as it was announced, it had been updated. The most recent update I could find was from January of last year, which we know how last year went. That was still the plan, but obviously I don't know because last year happened.
All I know is this year has been about 2 months so far, and last year was about 5 years. So,
yes. So I didn't find. I don't know if I missed the most recent of recent, but as of January 29th of 2020, Hulu still is going on with a Hitman TV series written by Derek Kolstad. But anyway, so I guess to get into the but why those. We'll start off with what I always start off with: successful franchise. I guess sorta. I couldn't tell you. Okay, so to get into but why those, as I always start off with, successful franchise. Sorta. It is a franchise that's been around for now 20 plus years. It's obviously still making games. It's, as I've last I could find, was sold over 15 million units. There really hasn't been much data because it's obviously between the managerial buyout, for their company. One went to from Square Enix to Warner Brothers to self-publishing. I don't really know between the last two games, but I'm assuming even if they sold like a million apiece, we're looking still at probably 17 million units from them, whatever Hitman 3 sells.
Yeah.
I do know, if I remember correctly, Hitman 1 sadly did not sell as well, but also, as we talked about, between the episodic stuff, the potato stuff, and then a lot of people did, as much as people bought Absolution, it was one of those, they bought the Absolution, like, yeah! And then they're like, oh no, and didn't like it. And so kind of passed on it. So yeah, it's kind of like there. Obviously, it's definitely successful because it's very renowned because Agent 47, as kind of we talked about, like, why would we do something like, why is he in all the games? Why would we not just do another John Wick? Because Agent 47 is one of the most well-known video game characters. And just kind of like the franchise, he may not be up there with Mario or Master Chief, but he's in all the lists. He's definitely, if you pull up a top 25, top 50 list, he usually shows up. As I said before, he's been voiced by David Bateson the whole entire time. And then
it's that suit and red tie though.
Yeah, and the barcode, the bald head, and the barcode.
I will say, I knew a lot of people who wanted to get barcode tattoos because of this game.
I mean, I don't blame them. If there's anything that crossed, I mean, it crossed my mind before. Like, man, it'd be cool to have a barcode on the back of the head. Like, awesome.
The funniest thing was one of the cholos in my friend group, obviously had a bald head, really wanted a barcode on the back of his head because he was a real huge fan of Hitman.
Yeah. But obviously he's very renowned. Obviously he comes out not because a lot of times what they said, they didn't really show up much because technically, as you find out, since he is like basically an assassin, he's not really found in the heroes. He's more in the anti-hero department. So when you look up a lot of like the top anti-heroes or top not true hero characters, that's where he really like pops up a lot. But like I said, he's very renowned. The red suit, that tie, very fashionable. You ever want somebody to kill you, he's gonna do it. Well, looking great. Like I said, it's successful because they do garner nominations and some small awards. Like Hitman 2016 was nominated for Best Action Adventure Game. But then Hitman 2018 obviously was kind of nominated for Control Design and 3D and some other nominations. All of them, as we said, they're not rated horribly. I think the lowest one we got was a 73, and that was the very first one in 2000. They're not really critically acclaimed either, though. So we don't see. Like I said, we don't see it flying off the charts of stuff. I think, like I said, Hitman 2016, I think, might have won maybe some Publications Game of the Year award, but I don't think it won really any major awards. But also, it's a very beloved franchise that's not super high selling or anything either. It's kind of like we talk about, there's a prototypical, like, niche or, like, game genre where, like, it's the top of what it is. Then it's Hitman. Like, we talk about stealth games. Like, obviously, people think of Splinter Cell and probably Hitman. And obviously, at first you could probably bring up Assassin's Creed, but that's become a mess where it's not even a stealth game anymore. Which is kind of like going the gameplay a little bit here. It's kind of like where I kind of have when it comes to the but why those of the stuff, because it's got a lot of games. We're getting a new one. People love the games that like them, but also it's like trying to market to sell it to everybody has been basically a huge thing. Because as I said before, it's an action stealth game. All the games kind of follow this weird stuff where they're kind of like mission-based, they're kind of like episode-based, where they kind of throw you in this little sandbox and you kind of get given targets to find, and then you just make your way through there to find it. Except for Absolution, which I kind of keep mentioning was bad. There was a few reasons people didn't like Absolution because it kind of took from that sandbox thing and kind of made it more linear. So where you had to go from point A to point B and you had like no choices. Another big thing for Absolution is some of the gameplay choices, which they added instinct mode, which essentially it's kind of like the rip-off version of basically the Arkham series and Assassin's Creed Eagle version. To be honest, you basically, everything went blue and you got to see where everybody was walking. For any of you that ever played those type of games, I mean, they're nice in the sense, but also it kind of took away from what made Hitman kind of real fun and do. But no, the cool things like stuff like the first set of games, they all follow this nice. Like, it's weird because you can pick up any Hitman game and it's kind of like you're still missing something, but you can still play them because they all have their own unique like encompassing of what they're doing mission wise, but they all are the same continuity.
Yeah.
And I believe even Contracts and Blood Money even take place kind of in the same time frame as each other, but they're two different games.
Yeah.
So that's been nice. Like I said, as much as I played them, like Blood Money, I bet a lot, but like I didn't really need to know all of the other stuff. And I think this one with the World of Assassination trilogy, I think obviously the same way you're following kind of a little like story, a big story across games, but on a micro level within the game, you just playing different stuff.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Um, as far as like the stealth, we kind of said like the instinct mode was something that's bad. They added notoriety and blood money, where the more points and more stealth, you got more points and more money for more stealth kills. Um, Obviously the creative kills like blood money also added accidents, which I don't know about you all, but that was one of my favorite things in blood money, was going through everything to kill somebody on accident, which was great. You could rig all of the rig the grills. You could rig everything to like the opera play. You could have somebody. You put a real bullet in the fake pistol and stuff.
I think like that's probably one of the reasons why I'm excited to see what Hitman 3 does is just because like again I kind of already mentioned, but just the creativity behind playing a game while also having there be different rewards for accomplishing a task a different way. Like it both rewards you for playing a certain way and like encourages you to essentially play in the world in a more immersive way than just like go to point A, kill target, come back.
Yeah.
You actually have to think your way through it and strategize,
Which
I
I
think
guess is the
really
biggest topic.
interesting.
Is like I said, the creativity of kills. As you said, like you could take costumes of anybody you wanted to, whether it be mascots. Everybody always has the fun little Hitman stuff where you just take a mascot. Whether you want to go John Wick style as Adrian apparently, or just Rampage style or stealth kills. The sedative syringe, you could push people off cliffs, pistols, everything. I don't know if you all had any favorite ones. I know there was a lot of fun achievements you could do. There's a lot of items you can kill people with, like a fish, throw fish at them, and everything, in books, briefcases. I don't know if you all had any favorite ones.
I didn't play
I
enough.
mean, I remember the sabotage stuff. I mean, that stuff I did do. I did do like the sabotage stuff. Like when you say the grill, like that immediately comes to mind. I remember tampering grills and making people blow up. Um, I'd have to like go through and like look at things again for that one. But it's like slowly coming back to me, like as you're mentioning things. But again, I also was like, notoriety. They're gonna die. Why do they need to know me? Like everyone's gonna die here. But the sabotage stuff is super cool. You could like use people as like body shields. It's real gruesome. That Blood Money game. Well, the
Oh
more
yeah.
I think about it, the more like that was not a game for kids, like at
No, pretty
all.
much none of these games are, which is kind of like going from like the gameplay and kind of the creative kills. Like why I want to talk about it, of just kind of like what do we think of stealth games anymore? Is that this is like the only one I can. Thief is kind of dead. Assassin's Creed, not Assassin's Creed anymore. We've had. Funny
I
because
mean,
are there any
when I think
other
of
ones?
when I think of stealth games, I think of Splinter Cell.
They haven't made one since like 2005. I
They
think
were
it just.
supposed to.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, because that's funny because like
But let Adrian
yeah.
finish his list.
Yeah, well, I was just like Splinter Cell, like Metal Gear, Assassin's Creed are like the biggest ones I can think of. I mean, Dishonored was a thing. There's a few, but in terms of like franchises wise, I think it's definitely just Hitman, Splinter Cell, and Metal Gear that comes to my mind. But again, I don't play those kind of games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the whole point was just like they just don't like Splinter Cell hasn't had a game made in forever,
And I
Some
think it's hard too because like you have to be willing to. If I think of like somebody who's built, I mean, it's easy for Splinter Cell because that's a Tom Clancy game, right? Like
right.
anybody's gonna pick up a Tom Clancy game, and the barrier of it being stealth, like they probably won't know. They may just see Tom Clancy and pick up the latest Splinter Cell game whenever that new one comes out. But when I think about it, like if you're making a stealth franchise or a stealth game where you're gonna reward people for choosing that option or pushing them to go that option, or even just like that's your only option, you have to be okay with missing out a population of buyers who
Yeah.
just don't, that's not their play style. And I like, because I, as much as I am not good at stealth games, I really appreciate them and I really like them, and I really like the mechanics that go into them, especially from like the like surprise kills and like those areas. um but I don't know if like now studios are really okay with really like alienating any audiences, and I feel like it's really hard to have like I don't know, I feel like more games are leaning away from niche play styles and pushing all towards more like either action adventure or open world or something that is like more simplistic and can pull in more people. And you see it even happening with like just from the perspective of big multiplayer games that are coming out. So yeah.
I sadly don't disagree. I think we've all talked about this before. Just like it makes it sad for me because I do think games are just getting simpler and for that more broad appeal. But like for games like this, like I enjoy stealth games. I know they're, kind of, they take more time. It takes patience, learning, and everything else. Like one of my favorite things was to do was to kind of like watch like a perfect kill and like I watch the video on YouTube just so you get the plan and then you take it off, turn it off, and see can I replicate this because you have because what they don't realize is there's a lot of RNG factors in there. So like if you just try to do it exactly like the YouTube video, you're like, oh, why is this person here? They weren't here in the video because it's all there's a lot of RNG components in there, and so I like doing that because it kind of like this whole like, hey, here's a plan. Now can you do this plan? And it's kind of like because we don't. I mean, I don't know about the last two ones, but I know some of the stuff that we don't get is we get a little bit of it, but you don't get a lot of the planning that goes involved. They kind of give you some tactics and some stuff like some objects you can use, maybe where you can find your weapon storage or, like what things you can kind of utilize within your like kind of sandbox. But they don't give you a nice little like, okay, we're going to lay out the map, kind of like an Ocean's 11 it out here. We're going to write a giant plan and you execute the plan. And, like a heist movie, stealth movie. And so treating it like that was fun. It's kind of also like you said with the mass appeal, but also just like, can you tell people like this? Like even Blood Money, I think only had like 10 missions, and I think even some of these other games only have like 8 to 10 missions, which if you just rampage through them, some of them you can do in like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too is like replay. Like I would assume the replayability of Hitman, because obviously, like I said, I haven't finished a game, would be to go back and do missions differently.
Yes.
But if you like, so I think that like opening it up past just self helps for replayability of the game.
I think it helps.
Ultimately.
I think it does too, which I think they've done like I said, the older one did a good job of, for the most part. Because like, and then like I said, when you add in the achievements, like I just know for Blood Money, like be a chef achievement where you had to kill every single person with a knife. Kill somebody with a fish or just kill something with other things. Like there's definitely some creativity that gets involved in the stuff. And I know we're talking about just, killing pixels or whatever, but like using, tactics and everything else of like, can you do it without being seen? Can you take out everybody else? Can you do it with an accident? Can you do it with a pistol? Can you do it with a rifle? So that was definitely, I think that leads to a lot of replayability, but also, as you said, only a certain audience is like excited for replayability of certain stuff like that.
Yeah, I wonder like how much they would do like an Untitled Goose Game like achievement. Like we gotta go kill someone with a goose or just something dumb like that to like incorporate other stealth games.
Yeah.
Like an Among Us achievement.
Yeah.
I have no. Like I said, I know they've added a lot more stuff since for the last two games, but I sadly haven't played them. But just looking at everything else, they do have some creativity and everything else. I do know, like you said, the mass appeal thing, I think they did try, and that was kind of one of the things they did with Absolution, because a lot of the stuff they did was opened it up. Like, it basically took away a lot of what the game was, which is probably why a lot of the fans didn't like it. But obviously, it sold a lot because it was a more massively marketed game.
Yeah.
Which I think kind of where we get with this whole divide between Square Enix and whatever, especially because of failure. Like, Hitman Go ends up happening because Square Enix wanted to remove IO after they laid off people, and essentially were trying to move them to other projects, and to make their own Hitman game. And obviously that ends up failing, and then we get the left result of basically Hitman Go.
Yeah.
And then obviously because of Absolution kind of failing, and then this whole kind of like fighting with reboot within stuff, obviously they get to buy out in 2017. 2016 I don't think sells that well, but then IO Interactive actually retained the rights, I believe, to Freedom Fighters and Hitman in this whole process. So, like, clearly, like you said, like, the shift to, like, a broader genre of game and not as niche as WoW was clearly being taken place in the back end for money and profits, in which we end getting, like, a whole developers actually, retaining its actual freedom, I guess, at the time.
Well, I mean, and like honestly, like I was actually really surprised when we put out the Hitman press releases and when those started coming in, and I started seeing how excited people actually were on my timeline for Hitman 3,
Yeah.
which I didn't expect.
Yeah, no, like it's one of those games. I feel bad because I haven't played as much because every time I have, I just really genuinely love the game. But sadly, it is one of those games that like, would you rather buy Hitman or would you rather buy like Mario? And depending on pricing and timing and everything else, just never had the time to play
Yeah.
stuff. I think Hitman 3, like I said, might be successful because right now it is probably going to be the largest launch of January of this year. So you're going to
Yeah.
have this whole time frame to yourself, and we're going to see how well it does. But no, it is one of those, like, it's weird because we kind of had this whole thing and I was writing these notes out and I told Kate beforehand and kind of going through, you guys probably look at them like, man, there's some shitty looking notes. And I'm like, well, because honestly, it just kind of all blend together. Like, what are stealth games anymore? you
Yeah.
know, Hitman's still making games, but they're not outselling anybody. They're not out winning awards or critical acclaim. But then, like,
The one, like I was gonna say, the one thing I will say is if this game potatoes it up, it's gonna, yeah, it's gonna suck.
right.
Just for like, and not just for itself, but like coming off of like the large potato that was Cyberpunk, it's just gonna put a lot of like question marks on what is the quality of games we are actually getting now that COVID, like we're seeing the real effects of COVID in the gaming industry so far, as like how people's work patterns have changed, how all of that's gone. Like two back to back
Sadly, you're
failures
not
would be
wrong.
really hard, at least in my opinion, to have any trust in any of the games coming out. Because like I think that games should just get pushed out instead of launching something bad, and I'm actually happy that Outriders pushed out their stuff. But
No, you're not wrong, and it is going to be interesting to see, especially if this one does, because like we've seen with a bunch of games, Cyberpunk, and Cyberpunk's not even the only game that kind of released with issues. I mean, we kind of just glanced over Marvel's Avengers. We forgot that even existed for how that came and died and all their problems. I came back and started playing ESO recently, and they already had to put out their end of the year apology for how, not just like bad, but just like they tried to do stuff through COVID and they failed through trying to do stuff. And so this will be the big year that we will see. Halo obviously has already had like 3 or 4 delays. So we'll see how that ends up coming out. So it's kind of be like, sadly, this is going to be the big test of like, what is this and what ends up, what are games at this point and how are people are adjusting. I think it sucks because I don't think it's necessarily fair to this game, but I don't know what else to,
Yeah, I mean, how does it play like on like the PC, right? Because like a lot of like the ways to avoid a lot of these issues is like just play the game on a computer.
See, that's
Yep.
like, I would never play this game on a computer. That's what's weird, I guess, for me. Except I've only played it on a console, and so I mean, it's obviously a birth to the PC, but this doesn't seem like a PC type game to me. But I say that as people I know love games like this on PC. So
I think it just depends on where you come from, like trajectory. Like if you've always been a PC player or if you just like the PC. Because like for me, like playing Tomb Raider on the PC, like I wish I had not bought it on the PC. I wish I had bought it on console because I just ended up hooking up a controller anyway. Because the mechanics just it's very weird for me to play that type of game on a PC, which is what it would be for Hitman for me too.
yeah,
But also, you're not wrong, and a PC will solve all the graphics problems.
also, I guess what, kind of we talking about stuff. I guess what has helped Hitman thing is they've obviously added multiplayer from the last time we played, so you can competing with each other for assassins, which is kind of fun to watch. And then obviously we're working together complete contracts. So those have been some pretty cool like additions that we probably never saw. Just wanted to mention for some of the gameplay and everything else. I know for me that's about all I really had for Hitman. Because it's just kind of like, it's a franchise that's been around forever. I think it's obviously still going to go. We don't know about the TV show. It's got a fan base that really like it. But as far as like what is the potential or the ceiling, I don't know if it's hit the ceiling already, sadly.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anybody had anything else on some of the kill, creativity, or any other types of stuff.
I just forgot that this dude is like literally genetically modified. So yes, he would in fact like murder John Wick.
All right, yes.
Yeah, you can like see through walls apparently. So like that's just like broken and OP. So
Okay, so one, I was gonna save all that for the fun facts, which for those who don't know, I didn't just forget that. I do know. So basically, I guess we get into some fun facts. Basically, Agent 47 is a clone that technically has 5 dads, where they took DNA from 5 people to try to make the best assassin that can, he's also called 47 because he's the 47th clone. And he just happens to be the best one now, the 47th, edition of everything else. I didn't do a lot of the story and did more focus on the gameplay and the mechanics, but there is a lot of story between like the ICA, the international, like I don't remember what the heck they're called, stuff. And then obviously you have like Diana, like I said, who is a handler that actually plays a role in a lot of this stuff. The stories of the actual games themselves, which is crazy because you think about all the missions and everything we do, we kind of mainly talked about just like mechanical gameplay stuff, but like the stories are actually really entertaining. That's why, for me, I know Blood Money is one of my best because the ending of Blood Money is fantastic. For those of you who don't know, essentially, they try to, spoiler alert, 14 years later, essentially it ends with basically you've been deemed a traitor. They're coming to close in. Diana, quote unquote, betrays you by faking your death. You wake up at the end with the coffin and the epilogue. You bust off she puts your two favorite guns into the coffin, in which then you lift the coffin thing and just basically murder everybody at the funeral so nobody knows you're alive. It's fantastic. The music that's in there is amazing. The music in these games have also just been fantastic. There's actually a whole soundtrack for that game, but no, you see a lot of this actual relationship with Agent 47, as he's not just your typical stuff, which they try to portray, especially in the novels and then somewhat in the movie. Of he's like, as much as he has no like emotions, he kind of shows every now and then. Yeah. You see.
Also, I would like you to read fun fact number 2, please.
I was getting to there. So now I'm going to get into other fun facts. First of all, I'm going to do the first fun fact before I get into fun fact number 2. Hitman had a bug called the homing briefcase, which is which obviously you throw in particular items. Basically, you could throw it and it kind of like homed in and hit the person. But the problem, especially with the briefcase, is sometimes it moved too slow. And so it was basically looked like a missile that was just kind of a tracking briefcase that just followed people all around as they walked. If you have our show notes, I did a YouTube video where somebody's on a jet ski with the stuff, and it's a great video. It's about I think it's not even a minute long. And this is what I said, when you said, John Wick killed somebody with a pencil. I was like, yeah, but you see how Agent 47 threw this briefcase? It's amazing. Fun fact number 2.
I don't think that counts. I think it's much more the genetically modified strength and body.
Was it a bug or a feature?
So the homing part technically is a feature per se, because that's how they so you don't have to sit around and trying to throw items because they try to make it simple. Problem is, when you threw it, it just moved too slow, and then people started walking. Instead of it missing, it just kept homing, and it just followed people around.
John Wick 6 isn't like him running from anything but just a briefcase for the whole movie.
That's all it is. It's like it follows, but with a briefcase.
I remember watching when this happened, because obviously, as much as I haven't played, I've watched plenty of people stream this game. It's actually a game I do enjoy watching people stream, but watching people have fun with especially the briefcase, and then obviously whether it be fish, tennis rackets, or just whatever else is beating people with stuff. It's pretty funny. Now, fun fact number 2, obviously, in this movie, the 2007 Hitman movie, Vin Diesel was actually originally supposed to be the Hitman, and then he dropped out.
Yeah, that's why this franchise failed. If Bloodshot taught me anything, is that this dude, he can play a mindless killer pretty easy.
Vin Diesel is too thick.
I mean,
because Hitman's like a more slender dude. Vin Diesel's buff.
It's true, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, CGI. You can.
Once again, after I saw David Bateman, I was like, "Wow, y'all messed up playing Timothy."
Oh yeah, that's
Timothy Oliphant is amazing, and that man got jacked for it. I looked up pictures.
I know, but still, have you seen David Bateman? And he's the original voice actor.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Vin Diesel is still riding off of Triple X and Chronicles of Riddick money at this point.
Which is why they, I think, wanted him. I think that's why they wanted him, because at this point he's running off of that.
Yeah.
As I said, Agent 47 is a clone of 5 Dads. Obviously, he has a barcode on the back of his head that actually contains his birth date. So in kind of the thing, so you can find out how he is. There's a lot of Easter egg stuff found within a lot of these games. He is bald, but mainly because IO Interactive at the time wasn't happy with their hair technology, and so
that's a smart choice.
So they just made him bald, which is funny because you look up the fan theories, we go Pokemon style, and people are like, it's part of the genetic stuff, and they just wanted to shave all their heads and made them bald the whole time so they could never feel hair and stuff. And it was just what? And so you just see bald children stuff, which obviously could be written into the lore. I haven't read all the lore, but basically IO didn't have the tech in 2000. They wanted to make their
gaming.
Hair.
Practicality turns into lore real easy.
Yeah, pretty much. But some of the fun things in the last two games. They've done these things with like exclusive targets where they kind of do it. Because I will say that's been the thing of trying to keep their game going. What they have done is like kind of what we've seen in like Assassin's Creed or even like an Immortal Phoenix, where they add like weekly things or daily challenges. So they have like these exclusive targets. And they've had some actors they've come in here. Sean Bean was one where they basically you had a week to kill Sean Bean.
Leave Sean Bean alone. Stop putting Sean Bean in things. Jesus.
Just let him live. Let the man live.
Apparently they did a whole entire like fan poll, like who do you want to be who's the more evil or worst person, Gary Cole or Gary Busey? And obviously everybody voted for Gary Busey to be the more scary person. And so Gary Busey was an exclusive target for like a week. They did put Gary Cole in the game, but he's just a wandering civilian.
Yeah, if Gary Cole wins over Gary Busey, that's something's incredibly wrong there. I originally read this as Gary Coleman, and I was like, no way. No way Hitman did that. That'd be out of control.
But no, they have done a lot of stuff. Like I said, I've looked at it. As Kate mentioned, they do a lot more suits now. They've done a lot more like aesthetic stuff, which a lot of games have been doing, which makes it a lot of appeasing for a lot of people. You can get some fancy, nice, like James Bond looking winter. Look at some winter coats with that suit over the top. Oh man, you're walking around like $7,000 looking stuff. Oh, you look nice there. Still won't ever have any hair, but that's honestly all I had. I know it's not a long episode, which I guess is a first for a Mad episode at this point. But yeah, I don't know if we want any other thing before we get into our final thoughts.
I mean, I could do an entire soliloquy about why he's hot and why I like suits for action assassins, but I don't think either of you want to hear that.
So to be fair, I'm with you though in this whole thing of like, I did not like having to wear a disguise or taking the suit off. I'm like, I like killing you with the suit on. Can we just wear the suit on? You put the gloves on, everything.
Yeah, keep the suit.
Like they're like,
definitely keep the suit.
People are like, I like the chicken outfit, and I'm like, no, just keep the suit, man.
Yeah, and like, I don't like want to bring it back to it, but like, there's like picture like Keanu Reeves wearing like a chicken suit, going through his movies, killing people in a chicken suit. Like, no, the suit is the thing. Just like the suit is the thing, just like it is in John Wick. And he has to be in the suit.
And the gay thing is like the game does it very well too, because like you see him kill him, he like fix a tie real fast, like as he like, oh, there's like blood everywhere, and he's like, I gotta fix a tie real fast.
That tie fix though.
Yeah.
You're right. It is like one of the greatest things. It just.
No, like the suit, we gotta fix the jacket real fast. I know I kind of flexed a little bit and, strangled somebody to death and their head's in a sink, but, fix a tie, fix the suit, brush the shoulders off.
Action people doing action things in suits, it's my favorite when they just, like, flick their jacket up a little bit to, like, readjust it after they've, like, just murdered someone.
It's great because you see a lot of that in the game, and it makes it cool. And like I said, I've always liked killing with the suit. I know that was for a while. You got more points if you retrieved your suit. A lot, and that was pretty cool. Like, can you make sure to get all the suits? Obviously, I know there's some more mechanical stuff and more things about the game we probably could have got into, but overall, it was just kind of like, not that they're all the same per se, because they have their differences, but it is kind of like when it comes to mechanical wise, and then what you're doing for the most part, the same. I know from everything I've seen, the last two games are very well received. Whether they sold well or not is another question, but they are been very well received overall, especially once you got past the episodic stuff. I'm looking forward to Hitman 3, so we'll see. But I guess final thoughts here for, you all?
I guess final thoughts. I'm not a huge self-game fan, but I do like the fact that, at least in the Hitman game that I did play, I didn't even realize it was a stealth game because I was too busy, like, brandishing things to kill people with in creative ways, which is really, really cool. So having the freedom to do both, I think, makes this game great and really has me interested in playing the newest one, as long as it's not buggy and it can play on my Xbox. I'd be down for a franchise, man. From what I remember, the world building in this game is super, super cool and can really, lend to some other stuff. So if this is the last one in the series, I'm interested to see like what they're going to do for like another trilogy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Kate?
I told you, hot man, hot suit, he kills things. I'm here. I'm happy. I'm excited for Hitman 3. Yeah, that no thoughts. Just hot man in suit.
That's fair. I guess I'll kind of end it out here. One, obviously, I always love Hitman. Obviously, I feel like I've bad fan because I don't play as much as I probably should have. I'm with Adrian of I do like the kind of the variety that allows for players to be creative, because as much as I like the stealth, I like people not being able to, but I also like that, especially from as they move forward, the rewarding of people who do the stealth stuff. And I guess that's where I like and fall with a lot of these games of like, I don't mind the bottom, but I like having challenges being rewarded for people who do go above the, the regular standard. And I do wish games did that more often, which I've seen of like, so everybody's so worried about the bottom part, where I'm like, I don't really care about the bottom, but quit capping the top. And so that's what I've liked about this, to where if you want to shoot everybody, that's fine, but I should get more points if I can, kill the target and nobody sees me. And as long as that's it, that I don't have a problem with it. Problem is when we kind of like you're pigeonholed into one or the other, where you're handicapped in one or the other way.
Yeah.
But no, I am excited for Hitman 3. We should see what happens. Obviously, I feel weird because it's one of those, I feel like I can play the game, but I might have to do a little quick synopsis catch up of what happens in these stories, because as I said, the games are, while they're in themselves, they do follow a larger story as a whole. I do hope we get more games like this, and I do hope some of the stuff we see in stealth mechanic come back, whether it would be a Splinter Cell or something like that. I wouldn't mind. I would love to see another Splinter Cell game. I know it's been forever, but I did enjoy those and everything else. But that is all I have. So if Kate, if you want to take us out of here.
Yeah, everyone, thank you for listening. And if you want to support the show a little bit more, head on over to patreon.com/butwhythopc, where you can get access to behind the scenes stuff, episodes early, ad-free episodes, and some other cool things that we've been working on. And you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, literally everywhere at butwhythopc, and you can find me on Twitter at omemithrandir. Adrian?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Superruiz93, SUPERRUIZ 93.
Matt?
I just like when you push people in the water and it's like 2 foot of water and they like drown and disappear.